for all the people who are planning on rolling Evokers in 4 days or so, when phase 2 of the pre-patch event activates. I wanted to go over the different ways that you can gear up your Evoker. This is mostly for the, I guess I want to say, fairly try-hard min-max kind of people. People who roll their Evoker and just keep it in whatever gear it comes with, and then once Dragonflight launches, they just get into questing and upgrade their gear as they go. They won't have any problems with that. The first zone in particular isn't, none of the leveling content is particularly hard. It's not like you need a high level of gear to quest or level quickly, but for those out there who really want to spend the 13 days or whatever it is that they have in pre-patch to play their Evoker and get it as geared as possible to level as quickly as possible to min-max as much as possible, there are effectively 3 ways to go about gearing. Now the first is the obvious way, which is roll an Evoker, have a whole bunch of friends that you can play with that can carry you through Mythic Plus and Raid and things like that, and just basically get funneled gear. The second option is, along with Evokers in phase 2 comes the Primal Invasions event, and these are pre-patch events that spawn every 30 minutes or so in 4 different zones. So Northern Barrens, Tirisfal Glades, Ungoro Crater, and Badlands. Each event is specific to that area, so the Earth event will always spawn in Northern Barrens, and so on. These events is basically the area turns into a primal invasion. A whole bunch of normal mobs will spawn around the area, and a boss will spawn somewhere in the middle-ish that has a shield on them. That means the boss can't be attacked until 100 of these smaller normal elementals are killed. This effectively gives time for people to get to the event after it spawns to participate in the boss kill. Now the little normal mobs and the boss both will drop Primeval Essence, and this is the currency used to buy the catch-up gear. Now the Primeval gear is 252 item level, so if you want to, you can do nothing but Primal Invasions and have a pretty relaxed way to gear up to a somewhat reasonable level before heading into Dragonflight content. The mobs drop 3 to 5 Primeval Essence and the bosses drop 15 to 20. Each piece of gear ranges from 25 essence cost to 45, with it basically meaning I think you'll be getting somewhere between like maybe 50 or 60, maybe even up to 100 if you're really trying to tag all of the little mobs, as many as you can. Essence per event, which means you're probably going to be getting anywhere from maybe 2 to 3 or even 4 pieces of gear per event, which still means you're looking at multiple hours, probably more like half a day of no lifing to get a full set of 252 gear. Now the cloth set, leather set, mail set, and plate set all look pretty good. Plate set in particular, in my opinion. You can also buy a toy with 100 Primeval Essences, and the bosses have a chance to drop, well, just rare drop items. You get 1 of each of the elements from each of the bosses, and when you combine them all, you can get an heirloom trinket. A full set of gear costs 315 or so, depending on if you want one-handers or two-handers weapons and stuff. But yeah, about 315 Primeval Essence. So you're probably looking at anywhere from 20 to maybe 10 invasions, maybe even less if you're, like I said, really min-maxing. The third option is to, which you can actually start now, is to farm up conquest boxes. To buy the boxes, you come up to this guy, Eldara, next to the Flightmaster on the top level of Oribos. And you can buy the conquest boxes for 375 conquest each. You then mail these boxes over to your freshly leveled Evoker. You open them and it'll give you random pieces of loot, like eligible for your spec. So that can be trinkets, rings, necks, weapons, everything. And they will all be 1 of 9 conquest pieces. So 272 item level base, which can be upgraded depending on your arena or solo queue rating. And then send them all over to your Evoker as soon as they ding. Now when you roll your Evoker, it will begin at level 58, and all you have to do is level 2 levels to 60 in the starting zone. So that's going to be, I believe, about 45 minutes to an hour or so to hit 60. Now personally, I'll be doing the conquest boxes. I'll also be farming the invasions just for the transmog sets, but for the gear for my Evoker, I'll be using Conquest boxes. And that is simply because I don't have much else to do for the next 4 or 5 days. So I don't mind sitting in solo queue, farming up Conquest. And secondly, it also allows you to get effectively 272 item level like 5 minutes after you ding 60. Now you can also upgrade your Conquest gear if you participate in some arena as well. So if you have some friends that are willing to help you get to 1k rating, or 1200, 1400, 1600, 1800 even. You can upgrade that gear all the way to, I believe, 282 at 1600. It will require some honor farming, but overall, like, I can't really imagine a quicker way to get to 280 plus item level. You can also do some combination of this as well. If you have Conquest sitting on alts or something, you can buy them. You need 1400 rating in any bracket to buy the boxes, but you don't need any rating to open them. So if you have some Conquest lying around, you can send over a few boxes. You could also do a few invasions, and then even something like buying a couple of 291 legendary items if you've got the gold. You could gear up an Evoker really quite quickly. I would even say in an hour or two. There is another, I guess, a fourth pseudo option for those real masochists out there who are willing to do 30 LFR raid bosses in 1 week. But on a fresh character, you'll be able to pick up the quest in Ouroboros that requires 30 faded raid boss kills to get a dinar coin that you can use to buy trinkets or weapons. Now, if you're really willing to put in that kind of time, it actually could be, and you really want, I don't know why really, but if you really wanted to get like the trinket or something that you want, that you think is going to make leveling just a tiny bit easier, you could do 30 raid bosses in LFR in a week without really any conditions or restrictions other than just time invested, which then means the next week you'll be able to pick up the next quest for 15 boss kills and 5 boss kills, which will give you in total 3 dinars, which means if you want to, you could buy a weapon and 2 trinkets. The other very small thing to consider is that it's still possible to get the rated PvP season mount. So if you wanted to, you could do some solo queue. At any rating above 1000 will give you Conquest for your wins, or even losses actually, I believe. It's very easy and quick to get rating in solo queue at the moment. 2 or 3 rounds of 6 will get you well over 1000 rating. You can also just queue 2s or 3s in the LFG as well. But as far as gearing goes, that'll be it. And thanks for watching, and algorithm stuff.